Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. I picked a different route this time, and I might be reaching the edge of town, as I've just realised. Because essentially I thought, well, I mean, there's one direction that I don't think I've actually gone in this town as of right now. And, you know, it is supposed to be large enough for 10,000 people, so it's got to have some mileage to it. And, yeah, I guess this was the way. You know, when in Galicia, you've got to pick uncharted paths. It's always part of the tradition. And yes, definitely, as time goes by, I feel more and more integrated, week in and week out. Except for the fact that no one really seems to, like, tell me anything when things are about to happen. Like, for example, I found out that apparently the choir concert that we are going to do is going to be at an elderly residence somewhere down the hill, and sorry, just naturally, because I've picked a new path, I don't know the local canine situation, so fantastic. This is going to follow me, isn't it? Yeah, it choked on its own barking because it was too focused on the imminent threat that is me, of course. Anyway, what was I saying? So yeah, we're going to do that on the last day of term, which everyone seemed to agree. It's like, oh yeah, okay, last day of term. Yeah, sure, I got that. I'm like, what? When's the last day? No one's informed me of this. But oh well, you know. To be honest, there was one thing that happened right after the last big choir rehearsal, on Wednesday in fact, that has definitely made me feel more of a part of this place than ever. So one thing that I remember, someone mentioned, I think it was one of my Madrid friends actually. And I seem to think like, oh yeah, I'm sure you've got like you've met like a whole group of friends already, and you've got like a massive social circle, because I'm the social one in the group. And yes, like normally I consider myself to be quite a social person. I mean, yeah, sure, I stay indoors quite a lot, but when I'm outdoors, I'm in there, That's the difference. But yeah, honestly, like outside of work, I haven't really met anyone. Not for lack of trying, mind you. I thought I found a group of people in Vigo that were part of the language system program, and they were not. I exchanged phone numbers with a person in the program, who then left the program. And because it took us so long to do that, that was the only social time that we had in the big event in Santiago, so I got no one else's contacts. So yeah, I've kind of been missing a group of IRL people that to interact with, outside of my usual online circle, until last week. Because yeah, what happened was it was after the big choir rehearsal at the end. So you know how I say that in the afternoons on Wednesday there is a rehearsal with. I said before it was the sopranos and then the tenors and baritones on interchangeable weeks, which turned out to not be a good idea because, again, polyphony. So we decided so the director decided instead to have everyone rehearse every week, which I'm very relieved about, by the way. Because yeah, it's the situation's getting dire in some of the different sections, because the bachillerato classes, the older students, the sixth formers basically, because they have due to their exams, even though everyone's having exams right now, but I'll get back to that. Due to their exams, they haven't been showing up during the break times to rehearse, nor I think in the afternoons for the most part. Apparently there was a festival like this book or something like that today. Again, no one tells me anything. I did not know. But yeah, we yeah. Oh, what was I gonna say? So I was trying to check the different paths. But yeah, the tenors and baritones particularly, because I now joined a baritone rehearsal. They had a few people there, but not many. Again, I mostly joined those to boost the numbers as the joker. So and the tenors today, including myself, there were 2 of us because of the Festival of the Book, and also I guess just in general, there only seems to be 1 or 2, you know, there at a time. And yeah, rehearsing by yourself is not fun, usually. Because honestly, part of the thing that people like about choir sometimes is the fact that you don't have all the attention on yourself. Unless you're a soloist, in which case, you know, that's comes with the territory, you expect that kind of thing. Anyway, point is, now the rehearsals are, you know, on Wednesdays afternoons are with the entire choir, which means I'll have another one after this. But after the rehearsal from last week, you know, feeling very pumped up and motivated and whatnot, you know, I was in the mood to do something special, I suppose. So I decided, as I was passing the restaurant or the cafe that I sometimes stop at, that is near to my apartment, I decided, hey, you know what? I'm gonna, you know, get some food, order something. Why not? And then, so I went in there, ordered some food and a drink, and you know, wrote some bits in my book. Which, by the way, the book I'm currently writing now is going to end up being the first one to ever span 3 separate notebooks. Sometimes I run out of space in one notebook and I have to go to another one. Sometimes the stories are so short that they fit into one, you know, basically just with only a few bits of a few pages to spare. But this one, I am, I think, 4 pages or 4 sides rather away from reaching the limit in that notebook, and I've got a third one that I got from the Santiago social event that I will be able to test out now for this one book. That's definitely going to be the one that I try to publish second. But yeah, who knows? I've also been told this week that one thing that about Galician people that I hadn't noticed is the fact that they don't tend to use like the past compound that you have. So, you know, that they don't say things like you know, ich, or like I have done or something. They'll say ice, I did, instead, which means that I potentially have to go through this book that is set in Galicia and remove all references to the past compound from all the characters except for one of them, who I can definitely use. I can definitely have be a person who stands out because they are the only person who uses the past compound, and therefore, because they're not meant to be from the town at least, maybe they're not even Galician. So yeah, opportunities, but that's not to go through when I eventually, you know, type it up on the computer and you know, start the editorial phase, let's say. So yeah, but before any of that, I've definitely reached the limit of the town, by the way. I've you know, bye town. I'm not going to wander too far this time. But anyway, back to the story. So I was finishing up this book, and almost by the time I'd almost finished, these 2 women walk in. You know, 2 women walk into a bar. Haha. You know, start of a I don't know, whatever the punchline would be in that situation, and like, you know, they're clearly close friends, and they start to talk about trying to like, you know, magic card tricks for each other. They test out one of them. The testee doesn't get it. The tester tries a couple of times, and then eventually explains it. And then then the waiter comes around, and then he actually also does a test for them. And at this point, I'm thinking to myself, wow, they seem like a very they seem like they're like a lovely pair, to be honest. And they seem to be willing to socialize with at least the waiting staff, and join in some of the fun. It's a very relaxed atmosphere in this particular place. Basically, that episode of Gumball where Anais lends like a pen to somebody, and she smiles back, and then she starts like kind of like friend, like that. Basically, that was my brain going like friends. So eventually, once the waiter leaves, and then try to test out the card trick that he did, I come in and be like, okay, well, would you like me to be a third party? And then obviously they can go one or two ways. They can say, no thanks, who are you, get away, or whatever. What was that song? It's like, get away from me, you little creep, and something blah 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 blah. Do you think that you're hot? 'Cause you're not. Or something like that, I can't remember. I sent it to random people. But anyway, point is, so I approach them saying, like, offer this third party, and then they ask, like, oh, did you hear the explanation? And I say, well, I heard like bits and pieces of it, which was true. I didn't like get the entire conversation because I wasn't eavesdropping, I just basically, they were being loud so I could hear parts of it. And so yeah, I sit down, they actually try out that particular one. I actually fought for a trick first, but then I immediately discover it afterwards. One of the tricks is that the particular cards that they show are not the ones that you chose, but they are the reverse numbers, like the 4 of something and the 5 of something become the 5 of something and the 4 of something. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. And I looked at the top of the pile. I was like, oh wait, no, these are my cards. So I worked it out, but only a little bit too late. And then that almost seemed like it. It was like, oh well, that was a fun exchange. But no, actually, this is where they invite me to stay, and they say they're waiting for a third friend of theirs because they join up to play cards together. And yeah, so it turns out that we played the cheating flea or something like that. La Brigada Tramposa. I'm not sure what that would be in English, or the actual official name, I mean. And yeah, I would explain the rules of the game, but it takes some time. Essentially, the big piece of information is that you can win normally, or you can win by cheating and getting rid of cards without being seen by the Guardian. And if the Guardian catches you, you become the new Guardian. And yeah, it was the whole thing where they kept on dropping cards on the floor. I stacked them into my notebook. At one point, I faked one of them out, and I just did this. So I went like that with my empty hand, and then I got called out. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I showed like, no, I've got nothing in here. And then I confessed afterwards and was like, no, I just messed with you. I cheated by not cheating. So yeah, basic exchanges like that, and then I showed them the game of War, which is one that we used to play back in my primary school whenever it was raining and we couldn't go outside during recess. It was one that one of our English teachers showed us. And basically, it's all luck based. So everyone gets an equal amount of cards. You can play within as many people as you want. Everyone places down cards at the same time, and then whoever gets the highest card gets to keep all the cards. And the other people, the goal was originally to you win if you get all the cards at the end. We played it in reverse actually, so you win if you get eliminated, but still you had to have the highest card, so you hope to get the lower cards instead. And if someone places, and if the two cards are of equal value, then it's a war, and you place down 3 cards face down, and then another card face up, and then you see between those cards which one is the which one is the what was I going to say? Well, which one is the highest, and then that person gets all of those cards, every single one. Usually when the game is played between 2 people, it lasts for a long time. So some people, will quit when they get down to the last 2. They were so invested, they saw it through to the very end, actually. And it is entertaining sometimes to see someone who's like on the back foot significantly. There was another game that we played as well, which was about like trying to decide how many times that you would win, and if you figure out if you win like twice in a round, you get like more points. I think that was more difficult to explain. But yeah, they got to see how addictive the game of war is, the card game, not actual war. War's terrible. Yeah, so that was a way to relive my childhood as well. Especially because obviously, when we played in recess, they switched the game to Spanish, so everyone was shouting "Guerra" and stuff like that. So yeah, and then afterwards, I exchanged WhatsApp contacts with one of them, and we've messaged each other a little bit ever since, trying to see like, okay, well, they're not gonna get together this week. I tried to invite them to an event that my mum told me about was going to happen, but she told me again on the day, and I thought she meant like the next day, because the Facebook post said tomorrow, but it was dated yesterday, that kind of thing. She's like, oh yeah, you want to join for that, just in case? And it's like, no, we don't have time off work, for example, and yeah. So we haven't met up since, but that was a very fun night for all of us, and yeah, now I have I'm in the beginning stages of having a friend group over here. So yeah, friends. So that was definitely a highlight right from the beginning. Other stuff that happened this week as well. If we fast forward a bit to Monday, actually, during that first baritone rehearsal, I find out for this one I gotta rewind a little bit back to 2016, I think. So in 2016, that my French teacher decided to play a movie for us. I think it was actually with English subtitles, but it was like in French. It's a movie that was called Les Choristes, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year, actually. And it's essentially a similar plot to Sister Act, but not quite. Less gangsters involved. So basically, this new teacher comes in to help out this class in an all-boys school that's constantly misbehaving. They don't get good grades, that kind of situation. His passion is music, and I forget if he was unsuccessful in his career, and so he decided that, and so he take up the teaching job to pass the time. Then he realized, oh yeah, we can do we can make this choir work. Kind of like School of Rock now, I think about it. Came out a year after School of Rock. Yeah, I don't know. But essentially he decides that the way to get them to get along and work together on something is to turn them into a choir. That's why it's called Les Choristes, the chorus, the choir boys, or whatever the translation would be. And yeah, one of the I think the central song in that one is one called "Va sur ton chemin," and that it's one that goes like "Va sur ton chemin, gamin d'oublier carré donne-leur la main pour les mener vers d'autres langues du monde. Yeah, that one. Which and I really like that song, like a lot. And so I featured it one time on Mayhem Sing Off. I got Fran to try and sing it, and then they rapped it, and it was a disaster because they did study French, but not to the degree that I had. And yeah, so but I like the song so much that I eventually made it into, I think it might have been my first proper like outro song, I think, before I switched to the Music Box one. But yeah, if you go back to my 2016, some 2017 videos, that's the song that will play as my end card is going across. And yeah, that's why it holds a special place for me. And yeah, but and I thought, well, then that's that. And guess what? A song that was sung by a choir that holds a special place for me. And guess what song? We've started rehearsing since Monday. That one. Like I saw the words "Voiture d'un chemin" and then on the page, and then it's like whoa! Hang on a second, like yes, fantastic! I got like really giddy as well. Obviously, I mean the baritone section isn't so good ultimately, or like as good as the main melody, and part of it was is going to be translated into Gallego as well. In fact, actually, remember I mentioned before, like how I talked about this in class with some people, that the way that translators' songs would go about. I use like Phineas and Ferb as an example of how they have to really be careful with like the meaning, or try to change it over so it's not a literal translation versus matching up the syllables and such. So yeah, essentially, yeah, when I saw the chorus, now bear in mind again, I don't speak Gallego, but I can, but if I read it and honestly I know the meaning of the song as well because I looked that up too. I could tell it was a literal translation and the syllables did not match. We didn't get round to the chorus, we just got like the second verse, which was going to be in Gallego instead. So we still have the first part, the one that I sang earlier in French, and then the chorus, and then now we have a second verse in Gallego. We didn't get round to the second chorus, and today the director decided that instead we're going to do it in French, because I didn't get round to explain that my alarm bells were going off, because hey, I could have been wrong, who knows, maybe the pronunciation is different, or there's some unknown diphthong that I was missing out, but it turns out that no, that's not what happened at all. I said to him, like, yeah, it doesn't look like the syllables match, and he agreed. Because he tried for a little bit to make it work, but yeah, like it doesn't work, and I don't think it actually rhymes either as well. That's another issue too. So essentially, the status quo was restored, at least partially, to that song. Apparently there was somebody who actually it was translated by a Galician singer of some kind. I don't know who. So yeah, maybe they made it work somehow. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. One thing that surprises me sometimes is that we were going to do a song called Voces para Convivencia, or voices for communal living or something, and at the side of the page were the English translations to the lyrics that didn't rhyme, of course. I was like, why did you put this here? Was this just for me? Because I know, again, you know, some people don't quite know the extent of my Spanish because I keep that under wraps. And the guy likes to try and practice his English with me, so... But no, it turns out that he just has a bunch of exercises from English sources. And bear in mind, you know, so far we've rehearsed songs in English, Spanish, French, Gallego, and Italian, and Latin. So, you know, we're covering our bases here as far as things go. And it turns out that despite the fact that some of them study French here, I'm the go-to person for French pronunciation, which is scary because I try, but just as well I know the song so well, to the point where I question some of like the note placements as far as like the like the words matching up to them. But I haven't said that yet. So so yeah, that's exciting, and now I'm looking forward to a full version of that because, you know, so far 3 out of the 4 sections, because there's 2 soprano sections, have rehearsed that song this week. So the soprano 2s are going to get that for the first time, see what they make of it. But yeah, I guess I get to live the dream that I didn't know was ever come true of being being able to sing that particular song. Because again, up until now, all the choirs that I've been in, I've had very scarce, if not non-existent at all, things in other languages aside from English. So the fact that this director, you know, really seems to like to explore that, you know, to expand people's horizons and comfort zones, or at least in terms of languages. Like I got to like one song. I was going to do like "He Lives in You," which I guess has some Zulu, I think, in it actually. And I guess that he decided that was too complicated. Which, you know, okay, sure. I mean, I don't speak Zulu, but I managed to get the gist. But I guess by this point, I'm kind of used to getting the gist. That's kind of how I've been dealing with all the Galician songs so far. And he keeps apologizing to me about that. He says, like, I'm sorry there's so many of these because we're going to, you know, the elderly residents, so, you know, they're going to want songs in Gallego. And I'm like, okay, you know, that's fine. I understand that. And again, it's not like I don't manage. Oh, wait, Portuguese. We did a song in Portuguese, too. Se miramos yeah. So, 7 languages so far that we have done. We're not going to perform all of those. We're going to take some of them for like the best ones, or I guess the newest one, Baixo do German, as well. But yeah, it's quite the experience. Again, like no week is too similar to another. Just like this week, actually, because 2 things happened in general that have shaken up what I thought this week would be ultimately. One of them is to do with you know, gacha and YouTube stuff, and the other is school stuff. And they go hand in hand this time. So, you know, so basically, for a long time now, we've been in you know, kind of a production slump, I suppose. I'm gonna say height, it's more of a slump for the next Music Girl episode. Because, you know, every now and then I'll be like, okay, what's the situation here? How are the scenes going for the editors that still need to deliver their stuff? And yeah, sometimes I get updates from them. Sometimes it's like, okay, well, I've got this here. One of them got the flu. So essentially, I've been so since they said like, okay, well now you've got the flu, do you want me to take your scene? Because it's Emily. So Emily is dealing with exams this year, you know, constantly, and I knew that was going to be an issue going forward. So like, okay, if you're too stressed about this, you want me to take over the scene? It's like, okay, fine. Normally when that happens and an editor takes over a scene, hold on. I then say to them, okay, well send me what you have so it doesn't go to waste, and I will continue it. That's the idea. This time, for some reason, Emily has decided to make a series of custom poses, 376 of them apparently, before filming anything. Now again, this is something where I guess in her mind, if she had all of the poses ready, she could then film them all in one go. That is a very new way of thinking about making gacha videos, because before custom poses were a thing, of course you'd have the static poses and you would have to go back and forth anyway, almost almost on the fly, to try and decide, okay, which one works best here, visually speaking. But yeah, since we've been able to do, I guess, you know, smooth movement between them, or, you know, in between poses and stuff like that, maybe that was better. But I mean, I highly question it. And because of that, she said, do you want me to I offered, okay, when we send me the poses so I can use them in order. And she was like, you want to send me all 376 poses? I was like, well, I mean, if you can, but, you know, if that's too much, because I guess you'd have to put them in order and say, okay, these are for this character, these are for this character. I guess that's not good. So basically, the entire scene has had to start from scratch, and that's fallen on my hands now after honestly months of waiting. But I took that as an opportunity. So basically, the other thing, the school thing that happened is that I said before that the English students, like the younger ones, they also have exams this year, or, you know, this month, I mean. So I'm trying to find a, you know, good way, good path down here. Past the dog. Okay, so yeah, because of that, basically, apparently the teacher I've got this week, teacher number 1, she was going through their exams with them, and so I would wait in the staff room and get called over to talk about something to do with Christmas. Our Christmas presentation this time for traditions. And again, it was packaged with an interactive activity, but they didn't have enough time to really do that activity, most of them. I reckon if the teacher actually asked me if you thought I should change the activity for the older group, to which I said, I mean, no, because they have time. They actually have time to do the activity. It's kind of like when I did like the songs and the scripts with them. You know, they each get different things out of it, because ultimately, you know, you can ask anyone to write something, but because you know, it depends on like their writing level, they'll get something else out of it. So that's why I declined that suggestion. And yeah, I'm hoping that they'll have enough time to actually do something rather than like just having to cram it into the last few minutes. So yeah, so basically, because of that, you know, and being in the staff room that time for most of that lesson, basically half an hour each time, pretty much. You know, I had some time to spare, and a spare laptop. So I have been working through the poses, or like everything to do with one character, and filming them at that same time. The character in question is Julius. I've been filming him. So all the Julius poses I actually managed to finish in one single day. So I'll say to Emily, apparently this method of doing the poses and filming them at the same time is definitely more effective than trying them separately, and this was something that I just did on green screen because we had a custom background for this particular scene. So essentially, I managed to do what some people have said to me that they've done, and made a gacha in a school. And interesting enough, there is something else about the choir director as well. He during I think it was also the Wednesday rehearsal last week. Like he at one point said to me that he thought that I could actually be a professional singer, and that with some training, well, it's more advanced training I suppose than what I'm getting now. But then he sort of doubled down on that on Wednesday, and then he said like you're wasting money here, implying that, oh yeah, you should be like in a musical in Madrid or something like that. And he said the same thing to me on Monday, I think. No, it was yesterday. Sorry, it was yesterday he said that. Because he was talking to Teach Number 4, the coordinator. And he just said to her, because they saw me in the corner, so he said to her, do you know how well this guy sings? Whereas the answer is, I think no. I think that's Teacher 4 is the only teacher that I haven't like sang in front of yet. Or sung in front of, rather. Sorry, part participle. Lead by example. Yeah. I haven't sung in front of her yet because she's the one that has me doing mostly one-to-ones, so I'm not really in the class, and I can't really use my my like class games or my interactive works of any kind. Except for last week, one time. Again, towards the end where there was not much time for one-to-ones. Which, yeah, like I said this before about in terms of like the welding students, that once you run out of ideas or you hit like a wall with the same group, they need something else other than just one-to-ones to work on. Because I've been on the other end, by the way. Back when we first moved to the UK, we my parents hired the assistants every year in school to come and give us private practice lessons so we wouldn't lose our Spanish. And it worked, clearly, but yeah, it was one of those things where some of the topics, well, obviously like the A-level theme ones, we had no interest in them, so it was kind of hard to, I guess, like talk about them. My catchphrase was supongo, like I suppose, and like, I have nothing to say about this topic. Eventually I kind of had to, because I took A-level, some years down the line anyway, so I had to give opinions, but at that point I was better at offering things. And clearly, over the years, I've made it into a constant custom for me to give my opinion on everything. Not to the degree of like Aiden, for example, but close enough. So yeah, fun times for sure. But yeah, so at some points, because it's one of things where I'm not so good with that type of thing, or like just having conversations. I'm there to hopefully get them to be interactive as well as teach them English. So kind of misses out on that part for me, at least. But anyway, basically that teacher had not heard me before, and then he said once again, he's losing money. Sitting there, he's losing money. Nor did he know I was actually working on a gacha at the time, which is the thing that does earn me some money. So yeah, that's one thing. That's why I mention it. But also, the coordinator, Teacher 4, said at one point, well, do you have any contacts to the choir director? didn't you have like that one friend who did something? I didn't hear what she actually said. I said, oh yeah, well yeah, I might talk to him. So who knows? Am I gonna get a summons from from somebody in that regard? I have no idea. You know, it could be a thing they might forget about, or you know, something for me to follow up on. Either way, I know that if it's a job or something that's being offered, if it's an audition, I need to go through another round of bureaucracy to be able to legally work here, aside from what I'm doing currently. So yeah, another round of bureaucracy if that is the case. But again, I have no idea. Essentially, I have not tried to look into. There is like a thing that we went through in Santiago where you can talk about, like, we can apply to have a different type of work permit, as long as it doesn't like exceed 30 hours or conflict with your scheduling in the schools and whatnot. There's like there's like specific things to do with like what you can apply for afterwards. But yeah, honestly, until I get my DA, and then and also can sign up for Clavin, get a certificate or something like that, I am staying well away from that kind of thing. And Lord knows I have enough to do in the holidays now, with you know, not just choir rehearsals, but also now Mutant Girl, to see if I can get an episode out before the remake rush in January. You know, possibly as well working on an idea for Chumation with when that comes out, because after the stream where we joked around about the idea of this very ridiculous isekai, which you can watch the end of the video for that, Vin and I actually stayed behind, and we started like brainstorming ideas immediately, actually. So there's more emotion than I was anticipating around this time. And then of course there's the decision of whether or not to go back in the first place. So who knows, things are starting to pick up, but they're picking up in a good way, honestly. And to be perfectly honest, I actually really missed working on Mutant Girl specifically. Like, it feels different to like the scenes in Weather Pops that I've been doing, or even like anything else that I started. Oh yeah, we'll randomly start doing a new thing. Until like this idea for Chumation, I was like, okay, well I don't want to. What new shows am I doing? I guess beforehand we had Crest of Rising Sun and Breathing Moon and whatever. So there was that. There was that also. But yeah, it's a comfort to come back to the thing that has been on my conscience for 5 years, and I'm hoping that I don't end up having a full year's gap between new uploads or releases for it, because that's I know I said I have no deadline for those things, but I mean, come on. Season 3 has 13 episodes in total, and we've released one every single year so far. That's not a good sign for the future, and so I actually plan to change that. I'm thinking because like the reason I started to outsource to other editors was because that way season 2 videos actually came out faster, because those editors back in the day were Aiden and Monet, and they both had a lot of the free time at the time to help out with things, and some different ways of going about things, and their strengths and weaknesses. Then of course I expanded and thought, okay, this would be a better idea. But yeah, honestly, like the whole idea of like having those other editors, it's become more of a crutch in recent years, because of the fact that everyone seems to be having their own lives now, and making progress is slowed because of that. So I'm thinking now that that from this point onwards, maybe aside from the remake, which I need all hands on deck for anyway, maybe from this point onwards I'll have the editors work on an episode in the future, so they can start that stuff. And meanwhile, I, and possibly also Aiden, given that he is still efficient whenever he's available, should work on the next episode, as in the one that comes before the one they'd be working on, and that way we can make an exchange and so on and so forth. I'm thinking that's probably better, because that way they can extend things past normal things. We're not waiting for them constantly. See if we can up the pace to at least 2 episode releases a year, if not, dare I suggest 3. That'd be very nice. But yeah, restructuring that is definitely going to be helpful, because I can obviously operate in a time crunch if editors will abandon me, and they verbally confirm they're doing so, because I mentioned the People Above story again on stream, and people were like, oh yeah, Lore Dump is more interesting than the actual video. People don't remember the story of how Aiden nearly sabotaged me, so I sabotaged him back. If you want further details, check out the Walking Wednesday or the stream from yesterday. Oh yeah, actually, big of streams, another thing that happened this week. Phoenix Drop Days turned 5 years old. So I've reviewed episodes 1 and 2, and tonight will be episode 3. So that's another thing to concern myself with, and yeah, like that. This is the first time that I've gone back into 5 years later routine, on a time crunch. Because 5 years later, the idea behind that, I will say again, is that I reviewed the episodes live every time they turned 5 years old. So the days of those streams are dictated by whichever date they were uploaded. And obviously recently, because of having to get up early and such on different days, I've stopped streaming on days where I get up where I have to get up for like the first lesson slot, and I've been starting an hour early for the ones where I have the second slot, and then everything else is normal. That's why the times have varied. So I'm doing the same with 5 years later, but those streams, because of the fact that you don't have the gacha review restrictions of a certain person limit, and it's AF now, so we like to say a lot of things about a lot of topics, so those ones last for longer in general anyway. So fact is, I actually also promised that I would do like an advert for a potential like radio idea, and I've had time to do that this week, in between all the other stuff that's going on and actually sleeping. I wanted to do a thing. I pitched this to like the radio club at the school, where like do like an English hour thing where we do like some radio plays, or so many like audio dramas essentially in English, of course, because that's again reason I'm there in the first place. That was the idea. But yeah, haven't written for that as of yet. Nor have I seen who's interested, or anything of that nature. So, but because of again all the other stuff, and on top of that, it's not for Christmas holidays, but somebody asked when I was doing my presentation in class what a pantomime was, because I mentioned that's one of our traditions. We all watch the Christmas pantos every year. Always, at least one, probably several. And yeah, now I think about it, means that if I do stay in Spain for Christmas, then I could watch the Madrid Players one for the first time in years. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, so someone asked about that, and then I explained what it was, and then uncharacteristically for most people in secondary school, they said, "Oh, I would like to be in that." Me too, that kind of thing. And so suddenly, now I have a vested interest in writing a pantomime for the school, or I guess adapting one or whatever. And not for Christmas, because it's a bit too late to pitch that idea to the principal. But then Teacher One suggested that maybe for Carnival, which is like a hybrid celebration of things that happens in February. So who knows? I've got not only stuff for the holidays, but project for afterwards as well. And a lot of that happened by complete accident and by complete circumstance, much like me meeting a new group of friends this week. So yeah, it's been a very productive week, and most of that was, by yes-anding life itself and having stuff fall into my hands completely by accident. So that's why I told the singing story or whatever as well. In case I, for some reason, looking down in the future, be like, oh, it's not like an unfounded thing. But also because again it ties into the theme of people seeing something or willing to make an offer or I guess to fester different potentials, or for me to do the same thing for myself and just go back to my old ways at the exact same time. So yeah, a lot of interesting things, and of course, conveniently being able to live out essentially a pipe dream that I never thought would be possible, and sing a random French song in a Galician choir to a Galician and Spanish audience. Yeah, again, you never know what's going to happen in this place. But I do know one thing that's going to happen now is that I'm going to go back, get some lunch, maybe write a radio advert if I have time, or if I feel like it's good enough to do this week, and not next week, and have another full choir rehearsal. Sounds like a good day to me. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters, as I've done so already. And on that note, until next time, farewell.